On June 18th, 2023, which was a Sunday, Father's Day, Hardeep Singh Nijjar was leaving his temple at the end of the day. There was a car that got ahead of Mr. Nijjar's truck, forcing him to stop. Two men approached him from the left side.
The killing of a man outside a Sikh temple.
There's been a murder investigation.
They found Nijjar inside a pickup truck with gunshot wounds where he died of his injuries.
Make no mistake, this is a political assassination.
Around the same time, there was, according to U.S. prosecutors, a murder-for-hire plot unfolding in New York City against one of Hardeep Singh Nijjar's close friends.
The only thing I knew at that time is that my life is in danger.
And the governments of the US, of Canada, concluded that the murder of Mr. Nijjar and the targeting of Mr. Pannun were initiated by people in some way connected to the government of India, which was angered by their involvement in something known as the Khalistan movement, the campaign for the Sikh religion to have an independent homeland in Punjab in northwest India. India has said allegations it was involved in Nijjar's killing are absurd. It has sought the extradition and arrest of some Sikh separatists due to what it says are links to terrorism.
The issue is not about freedom of expression, but advocating violence and legitimizing terrorism.
People in the Sikh campaign for independence around the world do have a habit of turning up dead.
Paramjit Singh Pannun was shot dead.
UK-based Sikh campaigner has died in the early hours of this morning.
Police say the killing of a man outside a Sikh temple Sunday night appears to have been targeted.
There were these strange or suspicious deaths, threats against others in the wider Sikh community, and what U.S. authorities say was this murder-for-hire plot in New York against this other activist by an alleged gangster. The obvious question is, are they all related? And if this goes higher, how high does this go?
अपना काम करीदा गुरु घर दे ते अपने काम करीदे ते कम्युनिटी दे काम करीदे।
Hardeep Singh Nijjar was a campaigner for the creation of an independent Sikh state in Punjab, a hypothetical nation that advocates call Khalistan. India designated him a terrorist and accused him of being the chief of a banned militant group responsible for violence in Punjab. But Canadian police found no evidence he was involved in terrorism.
We have also conveyed our firm rejection of the so-called Khalistan referendum and the politically motivated exercises by extremist elements.
That night, Nijjar's Dodge Ram pickup was blocked by another car as he tried to leave the parking lot.
The vehicle quickly moves and you see two individuals come out.
At that moment, two gunmen came running toward him. They opened fire on Nijjar's truck, shooting him more than 30 times.
I opened the door and tried to check on his pulse, but he's not breathing at all.
The gunmen fled on foot into a nearby park, where witnesses pursued them.
The chase is just continuing through here.
On the other side of the park, a silver Toyota Camry was waiting. They got in and drove off.
People were angry, frustrated, they didn't know what to do. So there was a suggestion that I speak to the crowd. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, make no mistake, this is a political assassination and India is behind it.
At first, advisors to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau were told it was unlikely that the murder was politically motivated. But as rumors of India's alleged role grew, they requested a new assessment.
We want to make it clear that we understand as a community that the assassination was committed by Indian agencies.
Canadian investigations would ultimately find evidence of a wider campaign against Sikh activists, and that Nijjar wasn't the only alleged target. India has never claimed responsibility for targeting Sikh dissidents and dismissed allegations that it was involved with Nijjar's killing as absurd.
The Indian government has never admitted involvement with the killing of Mr. Nijjar. Prime Minister Modi has been very open about the fact that India believes it has the right to act and to kill those it considers terrorists. Modi has made this clear when talking about Pakistan, like in this speech from 2024.
डोजेर में टाइम खराब नहीं करते, आतंकियों को घर में घुसकर मारते हैं.
Though a minority of 25 million, Sikhs have played a major role in Indian history. After the 1947 partition fractured their homeland of Punjab, a radical faction turned to terrorism. Their tactics, from indiscriminate shootings of civilians to the desecration of Hindu temples, escalated communal tensions. India accused Pakistan of fueling the violence by supplying militants with weapons and training. The crisis peaked in 1984, when a group of these separatists fortified themselves within the Golden Temple, the holiest Sikh site. In response, the Indian government launched Operation Blue Star to flush out the militants.
I don't think we could have done anything else. Some people feel we should have acted earlier, and some that we should not have acted.
There was a complete state collapse at this juncture, which then led to this hasty and poorly executed operation.
According to official figures, around 575 people died, but Sikh groups put the total much higher.
The 1984 attack really spurred into motion the idea of Khalistan, not only in Punjab but in the diaspora as well.
Later the same year, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by two of her Sikh bodyguards in retaliation. The anti-Sikh riots that followed killed thousands and drove many Sikhs to emigrate to the UK, US, and Canada, where they became an important political constituency.
Blue Star and the riots thereafter, these were the two factors that were the most significant mobilizers for the amplification or escalation of the Khalistan movement and remain one of the most important elements in the ideologically driven segment of the Khalistani diaspora.
In the years following the riots, Sikh extremists conducted fatal attacks across India, including bomb blasts and shootings. But the deadliest one occurred overseas.
Air India Flight 182 left Toronto and Montreal last night, bound for London and India. It never made it.
329 people were killed in the bombing. Canadian authorities determined that Sikh militants living in their country were responsible, but the suspected perpetrators largely avoided jail time after a series of botched investigations.
One person was given a short sentence, which he did not serve in full. All the conspirators went scot-free. There's a very long history over here, which justifies Indian grievances.
In the late 1990s and 2000s, the Khalistan movement became less visible in Punjab. Sikhs became increasingly represented in Indian politics, with Manmohan Singh serving as Prime Minister from 2004 to 2014.
Today, you would have to dig very deep in Punjab to find a Khalistani.
But abroad, the movement never died out, and it was reinvigorated by a new generation of activists, just as Narendra Modi, Singh's successor, took a more aggressive stance towards dissent.
We have currently in power a party which seeks to demonize certain segments of the population to create a perpetual threat to the Hindu majority. So the Islamists are going to overrun India, the Khalistanis are going to overrun India. Now this is a discourse that is sought to be harnessed to their electoral ends. They're playing with fire really, and they're doing it cynically.
India frequently demanded the extradition of Khalistan campaigners who had accused of crimes, but was rebuffed. Its battle with them soon entered a new phase, not in India, but on the streets of Western cities. In the spring of 2023, Khalistan activists began dying in unusual circumstances. One was a man named Paramjit Singh Pannun, who was gunned down in Pakistan. India had designated him a terrorist and accused him of leading a banned militant group. Then there was Avtar Singh Kanda, who Indian media portrayed as a pro-Khalistan militant.
Kanda, who lived in the UK, went into hospital and died within just a few days.
Police found no signs of foul play.
Just 3 days after Kanda died, Mr. Nijjar was killed. There are a number of countries that have carried out assassinations overseas, overtly or covertly. Israel famously does this with some frequency. There were American drone strikes going on in places like Somalia, in Pakistan. So the argument that you do hear from people in government in India is, well, we are a superpower now. We are one of the big boys. And that means that if you think someone is an enemy of your country, you can take action against that person.
I used to go to the gym, I used to go and have dinners, I used to go to the cafes and sit there and work. Now I have a full protection team that brings me from the place of my residence to wherever I go.
Gurpatwant Singh Pannun is a lawyer in Queens. He's been in the US for 20-something years.
The Indian government declared Pannun a terrorist due to his Khalistan advocacy, and what India said was involvement in violence and incitement. But to American authorities, he was an activist, protected by the First Amendment. In the spring of 2023, someone was following Pannun. They took photos of him. Each image included GPS data, showing exactly where he was.
A man named Nikhil Gupta, who, according to US authorities, was kind of a medium-time hustler, drug dealer, weapons trafficker, was asked to organize the killing of Mr. Pannun here in New York City.
Gupta was facing a criminal investigation in India, and he had allegedly been offered a deal by an intelligence agent. According to a US indictment, if Gupta arranged Pannun's murder using contacts in New York, the case against him would disappear. Around the same time, Canadian authorities were investigating the Nijjar assassination. In late July 2023, there was a breakthrough in the case. The UK, one of Canada's partners in the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, had obtained some relevant information. The British intelligence would only be shared under strict conditions. It would be hand-delivered to Ottawa and kept off electronic systems, and only a handful of Canadian officials, pre-approved by London, could see it. The file was a summary of conversations intercepted by a British intelligence agency between individuals who analysts believed were working on behalf of the Indian government. They had discussed 3 potential targets: Nijjar, Kanda, and Pannun. Later, there was an exchange about how Nijjar had been successfully eliminated.
There were several meetings between senior people in the Canadian government and their Indian counterparts, in which the Canadians were saying repeatedly, we would like to set up a joint inquiry, some kind of off-ramp, essentially. Those offers were refused.
When the Canadian media picked up on the story, Trudeau decided to go public.
Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
India reacted furiously, dismissing the allegations as absurd. Relations between the two countries entered a crisis. Meanwhile, other Khalistan activists like Pannun were wondering if they could be next.
At the beginning of this, allegedly, Mr. Gupta reached out to a contact of his in New York and said, I need help getting someone killed. That contact, at Mr. Gupta's instigation, allegedly, then introduced him to someone who Mr. Gupta understood to be a contract killer.
But fortunately for Pannun, neither man was really who Gupta thought. The contact who Gupta had allegedly reached out to was a source for the US Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA. And the contract killer that the DEA source introduced to Gupta was actually an undercover New York City police officer.
So from this point on, this is an undercover operation, and every bit of it is wired. So all of the WhatsApp messages that Mr. Gupta sent to his source, their voice calls, an in-person meeting, all of this ends up in evidence and is going to be at the core of the criminal trial of Mr. Gupta.
When Pannun was followed, he wasn't in immediate danger. The people taking pictures of him were law enforcement personnel, staging the surveillance to send the images to Gupta.
These were pictures of Pannun going about his daily life in Queens with a timestamp and GPS coordinates embedded in them to say, look, he's really here at this time. We have eyes on him. But this was all a ruse.
But the question for the DEA was, how serious was Gupta? In early June 2023, Gupta allegedly told the undercover hitman that a parcel was about to be delivered. That day, a delivery was made in Manhattan. $15,000 in cash given to the supposed contract killer.
After money had actually changed hands, which is what takes it from just talk to something much more serious. The DEA, the FBI, began making plans to arrest Gupta.
Gupta's New York contact persuaded him to meet in Prague. And as soon as he arrived, Czech police arrested him at the request of the DEA.
His phones were taken. The data from those phones gets extracted. This then creates this huge trove of information. And you could see the number for this person who Gupta had been talking to, who he'd saved the contact in his phone as Amanat. But they don't necessarily know who this Amanat is. They ran the information across various federal databases, and they got a hit.
On an Indian flight attendant's US visa application, a number matching Gupta's handler was listed. It belonged to her husband, a man named Vikas Yadav. And further investigation uncovered who Yadav was, an employee of India's main foreign intelligence agency, the Research and Analysis Wing, or RAW.
So you can imagine when these pieces started to fall into place, US prosecutors, the DEA, the FBI, and ultimately the White House were pretty alarmed to find out that this had allegedly been directed by someone working for Indian intelligence.
The Biden administration had been investing heavily in its relationship with India. Unlike Canada, it didn't go public, choosing to handle the matter behind closed doors. American prosecutors eventually indicted both Gupta and Yadav on murder-for-hire charges. But only Gupta, who has pleaded not guilty, is going on trial in New York. Yadav remains in India, safe from US extradition requests.
So we have two trials coming up. The trial of Nikhil Gupta, who has been extradited from the Czech Republic to the US, and the trial of the 4 men charged with the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
In Canada, after an extensive investigation involving surveillance footage and cell tower data, 4 men were arrested and charged in May 2024. All of them were Indian nationals in their 20s, living temporarily in Canada. They now face trial for first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder and have yet to enter pleas.
They were pretty clearly, in the view of investigators, people who were paid to do this job, not people who had a specific animus against Mr. Nijjar.
But while some of the alleged perpetrators may be convicted, the question of who ultimately ordered these attacks remains unanswered.
Canadian officials allege Amit Shah, considered the number 2 in the Modi government, is behind a campaign of violence and intimidation targeting Sikh separatists in this country.
The names that have come up as potentially involved or having been aware and encouraging of these operations are Amit Shah, the Home Minister of India, who is a very close ally of Prime Minister Modi, a real hardliner, and Samant Goel, who at the time was the head of the Research and Analysis Wing, India's main foreign intelligence agency.
India has dismissed the allegations against Amit Shah as baseless and rejected claims it was involved in the Nijjar killing. However, when faced with the US indictment in the Pannun case, it promised an investigation suggesting rogue operatives might have been responsible.
If this has been done by India, it has been authorized at a reasonably high level. Who has authorized it? I don't know. And we have not seen definitive evidence.
India continues to seek the arrest of Khalistan activists around the world.
There is a vast intentional exaggeration of the actual threat. And that is feeding into an increasingly widespread perception that the movement is regaining momentum. That's dangerous, because this is a country with a lot of political turmoil at this juncture, and you don't know which spark is going to light the prairie fire.
Both Canada and the US are in new phases of their relationship with India. Prime Minister Mark Carney is trying cautiously to rebuild ties. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has imposed steep tariffs. But a fundamental reality hasn't changed.
I would say 2 years later that the effect of these events on India's international relationships has been very modest. Whether you're the US, the UK, Australia, France, Germany, you have serious concerns, certainly, about what appears to be transnational repression of enemies of the Indian government living in Europe, living in North America. But you also have a lot of reasons to keep this relationship on track, to pursue trade deals, to pursue security arrangements. India is just too important. And this is actually a vindication of some of what you hear from people in India about these cases, which is, well, the US assassinates people, other countries assassinate people. If we're going to be in the club of global superpowers, we can do it too.